During my brother's wedding, the best man seized the microphone, singled me out, and inquired, "Here's the divorced man, the loser," causing my daughter to weep. However, someone intervened, altering the course of events. This individual stood tall, mic in hand, with a loosened tie as if he had already claimed victory for the night. His gaze darted towards me momentarily, and then the words tumbled out, seemingly on standby beneath his tongue, impatient. "And there he is, my divorced brother and his financially struggling daughter, who would like to take a date with him." The room erupted in laughter. My daughter's grip tightened on me, but it was too late. She had heard it. Everybody had. Faces turned towards us, smirks concealed behind champagne glasses, whispers like wind rustling through dried grass. Then my father's voice cut through the noise. "Let's start the bidding at $50, shall we?" He chuckled nonchalantly. Just a joke, son." I had heard that same line before, at various kitchen tables and backyards, when I was naive enough to join in his laughter. Yet, my child couldn't grasp the beat of their harshness. She was too tender for it. Her chin began to quiver, a prelude I sensed before seeing it. She withdrew her hand from mine, concealing her face, yet her shoulders betrayed her. I rummaged in my pocket. The reason eluded me. Perhaps a handkerchief, maybe just something tangible to grasp. Alas, there was nothing solid left. Then, someone rose from the crowd. Gradually, deliberately. Initially, I assumed it was another act, another joke's component. But no one chuckled. They merely observed him, an old acquaintance I hadn't crossed paths with in years. He spoke not a word, didn't require to. He simply approached and settled beside me, as if it were the most ordinary occurrence. His silence echoed louder than their jeers. That was sufficient. I required no rescue. I yearned merely for company. I can hardly recall tasting the food that evening. My child clung to my side, eyes red, and I pondered, this is it. This is the rock bottom they had cautioned me about. Nevertheless, it wasn't as painful as anticipated, perhaps due to pain being an old acquaintance. A forgotten coat I failed to remove. I didn't rush off immediately. I lingered until the music commenced and the lights dimmed, allowing people to feign they hadn't laughed. I cradled my daughter to the car, her head on my shoulder, laden with sleep or sorrow, possibly both. During the journey home, I pondered over the years surrendered, the unaccountable losses, the ones that don't show up in financial statements or birthday cards. My thoughts wandered to my former spouse, how she gradually ceased gazing at me as a person and began viewing me as an impediment, as excess baggage. For decades, I took on double shifts, missed performances, missed milestones. It wasn't because I didn't care. I missed them because someone had to maintain the illumination. Someone had to settle the mortgage on a dwelling that exceeded the love we held within it. She claimed she comprehended. I received a goodbye kiss on my cheek as the sun rose before I departed. At times, she would stay awake until past midnight when I returned, but this practice ceased. The kisses were replaced by simple nods. Eventually, there was nothing more. One day, I entered our home to find her genuinely laughing at something displayed on her phone. She hadn't noticed my arrival. That laugh wasn't the one I remembered from years past. For quite some time, it had been absent. The best man, the one holding the microphone tonight, was visible on her screen, shirtless, younger, and exuding a self-assuredness that can make men dangerous. I remained silent, opting not to confront her about it. Why bother? If she loved me, she wouldn't have to ask. If she didn't, no question could change things. We parted ways without a fuss. She made no attempt to resist or weep. She simply stated that it was for the best. Our daughter mostly resided with me at night, but even she started asking questions I couldn't answer. And my father, he had never truly been proud of me. I wasn't as charismatic as my brother, nor was I driven like my cousins. All I did was work to pay bills and show up. It seemed my family didn't respect me enough, as that wedding night served as the last straw. I returned home, put my child to bed, and spent the night in darkness before making phone calls. These weren't just any contacts. They were old friends, silent allies, and people who owed me favors, not because I asked for them, but because I had been there when others hadn't. A lawyer I had assisted without charge, a private investigator I supported with my overtime wages when his child was in trouble, a journalist with a long memory. I didn't seek revenge, I craved clarity. Within a matter of months, everything unraveled. The best man, the young, boisterous fool, found himself in debt, mainly due to gambling, but also because of illicit affairs even while seeing my former spouse. My ex-wife learned the hard truth when a video appeared in her inbox. It wasn't leaked, it simply surfaced. She attempted to deny it, claiming it was old and insignificant. However, the timeline couldn't be contested when there were dates on the footage. She didn't approach me, neither did she offer an apology. Instead, she vanished from the social sphere she believed she had ascended. Her new partner, the esteemed man, abandoned town when lenders began to gather. My father found out about it eventually. The seemingly perfect wedding was overshadowed by the ensuing scandal. As for me, I continued working, picking up my daughter from school, and maintaining a low profile. However, people began to regard me differently, not with sympathy, but with interest. It seemed as though I might not have been the fool as they thought. Months later, my father appeared at my doorstep. He stood there, hands in his pockets, appearing older than I had remembered. He didn't ask for entry. He merely said he heard about the incident. I remained silent. Perhaps he waited for forgiveness, or perhaps he sought approval to feign concern. I left him standing outside without uttering a word. I closed the door without saying anything. My daughter asked who it was. I told her it was nobody significant. She smiled, and that was enough for me. Some obligations aren't settled with money. Silent_video. Context: a video tutorial explaining how to make a cake. Ingredients needed for this simple cake recipe include self-raising flour, castor sugar, butter, eggs, milk, and vanilla extract. Firstly, gather all your ingredients and preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius, 356 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, measure out the correct quantities of each ingredient into separate bowls or cups. In a large mixing bowl, sift together the flour and a pinch of salt. In another smaller bowl, beat the sugar and butter together until it becomes light and fluffy. Gradually add the eggs to the butter mixture one at a time, beating well after each addition. Mix the dry ingredients, flour and salt, into the wet ingredients, sugar, butter, eggs, alternately with the milk. Begin by adding about a third of the flour mix followed by half of the milk. Continue this process until all the ingredients are incorporated, ensuring to not overmix. Stir in the vanilla extract at the end. Pour the cake batter into a greased and floured 8-inch cake tin. Use a spatula to smooth out the top. Bake for approximately 25 to 30 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted into the center of the cake comes out clean. Allow the cake to cool in the tin for 10 minutes before transferring it onto a wire rack to cool completely. Once cooled, frost with your favorite frosting and serve. Enjoy!